Here is the Izzet deck. Izzet is, I think, one of the less, not as strong guilds from what I'm seeing in the current meta. There's even complaints that, maybe Izzet was kind of given the short end of the stick. Here's the theme deck as it comes. I sleeved it up because I'm going to throw it into my large Grixis build that I've been playing around with. Here's Welkin Turn, a 2-drop from M13, a common. Then there's 3 4-drops, Rune Wing, another common. At 4 2 2, even though you draw a card when it dies, that's a pretty heavy drop for a 2 2. Bluster Squall, a 1-drop instant with Overload, seems useful to me. Just from looking at it. The same is true with Downsize, another 1-drop. 1-drops are great, and this one is alright. It's also got Overload. Then we go into the red cards, and we've got Gutter Snipe and Cobbles Brute. Now, 3 of Cobbles Grouped, 2 of Gutter Snipe. I just pulled another Gutter Snipe earlier this morning. It seems like a nice card because it's one of those whenever, and it deals 2 damage to the opponent, so that's pretty good. If you're casting a bunch of instants and sorceries, this is a great card to play. Then you've got Cobble Brute, which is a 4-drop, 5/2. Not terrible, vanilla, so there's nothing special to it. Still, I could see it being somewhat useful. Then there's Tenement Crasher, 5/4 for a 6-drop. Even though it's got haste, it reads limited to me. It reads something like if you pull in a limited environment, you'd be forced to play it because you have no better choices. But I would probably pull it out of any deck that I tried to build with it, that I had cards to build with. Then you've got Wild Guess as a sorcery 2-drop, and Mizium Mortars, also a sorcery 2-drop. Wild Guess is a common from M13. You draw 2 cards and you discard a card. That's pretty good. Mizium Mortars, of course, is really a nice card. Deals 4 damage for a 2-drop, and you can overload it. You're going to have 6 extra. But boy, if you've got a field of creatures in the 4 power or less range, this will definitely clear the board if you're willing to spend the extra 6 mana. Then in the case of the sorceries, you've got some goblin action going on in this deck. And so you have here Krenko's Command, where you drop 2 1/1 tokens, goblin tokens. And then you've got Goblin Rally at 5. That's a little heavy. It's an uncommon. Love the artwork. And you would put 4 of those same tokens. Then you've got 2 of Electrickery, which is, I think, a very useful card. I like it a lot. And then you've got also 2 of Annihilating Fire, which is a heavier drop. Electrickery has Overload, and it's a 1-drop for 1 damage. But if you've got a bunch of tokens, you can really wipe out those creatures with 2 extra mana. Then in the case of Annihilating Fire, it's a 3-drop for 3 damage. And you can exile if a creature died that way. And then you also have your higher instance, which of course, if you're playing red, is something that's a 5-drop or a whopping 6-drop. Doesn't really strike me as playable unless it has some incredible, like, the game is over ability. And I don't see either of these cards having that. For the Explosive Impact, you deal 5 damage. You got to have 6 mana for it. Doable, playable, doesn't seem that great. And Chandra's Fury is basically the same card with -1 expense, so it's really 4 damage. But it's a nice bonus to deal 1 damage to each creature that player controls. And then in red, you also have this enchantment aura Pursuit of Flight, a common 2-drop, clearly an Izzet card because it's a red card with a blue ability, and so target this creature gains flying until end of turn. Not so bad. Then we're going to go into the hybrid and multicolored. Here we have the Guild Mage, the obligatory Guild Mage that goes into a theme deck. In the Rakdos deck, it would be, I forget the name of the Guild Mage in Rakdos. Then this is Nivix's Guild Mage. It's got 2 separate abilities. And one you can draw a card, discard a card, and the other, a little heavier, you can copy target instance or sorcery spell you control and choose new targets for the copy. Then there's Blister Coil Weird. Nice card. It's a 1/1/1 with a special ability. It gets pumped. So whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you can give it a +1/+1 until end of turn, and you can untap it. That's useful. Then you've got other creatures that are also 2-drops. Goblin Electromancer. And then you also have the all-over foil top of the deck card, a 5-drop Hypersonic Dragon, a rare. And so it's got flying and haste. And the text read, you may cast sorcery spells as though they have flash. So you can cast them anytime you can cast an instant. That's what flash means. Then Goblin Electromancer, a 2-drop. Instant or sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. That can be very useful, I think. Especially since it's a 2/2 already. Then you've got a sorcery and an instant. Sorcery is Teleportal, 2-drop. The instant is a 5-drop Thought Flare. Draw 4 cards, then discard 2 cards. I like that. Drawing 4 cards. It's a 5-drop. It's a pretty heavy instant, but I can see that being very useful. And then in the case of Teleportal, it's an uncommon. Target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn and is unblockable this turn. Not that great if you're only going to use it on 1 creature, but if you've got the Overload mana laying around, that can really allow you to put up a good attack. As is usual in the theme decks, 1 Guild Gate for that guild, and 2 key runes for that guild. And the Izzet key rune becomes a token, 2/1, blue and red elemental artifact creature. Not a token, I'm sorry, it's a creature, if you drop 2 more mana on it. And it allows you to balance your mana pool by feeding blue or red to your deck, as all the key runes do the same for their guild colors.